Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video was actually requested by one of you a long time ago. Somebody left this request or this video suggestion in the comments a while back, and I am finally getting around to doing it because I finally feel comfortable and confident in what I am sharing with you. And that is the apps that I use on my phone and sort of how I have my phone set up. So today I'm going to tell you how I keep my apps organized on my phone, how I keep my phone as productive as it can be to keep me productive, since it's something that I touch like every hour of every day, and what apps I use on my phone for various things. Now, I have mentioned this before on my channel, but I do use my phone for filming. So it's currently in use. So what I'm gonna do, I have a handy dandy note page here. I'm going to tell you about how I set up my phone and all of the apps, and then I'm going to pop up my phone screen from like where you can record the screen so that you can also see what I'm talking about as well. So let's start with the basics. Let's start with the lock screen. I usually have something seasonal, either from usually Emily Lay or Erin Condren. I get something seasonal from one of them or something that's applicable to what I'm working on right now in my life. Like right now I have that "every day is a fresh start" quote from Erin Condren. It just sort of reminds me that like, it's okay. I messed up yesterday. I had a huge bagel. It was delicious. And then today I'm going to keep moving and make better choices. And then my home screen, I like to keep it very simple. For a while, I was using the calendar background that Emily Lay gives you that has like the little calendar in the corner, or just like a plain color. Right now I have this flower. I think it's very simple and pretty. It was like the default one when I rebooted my phone, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I kind of liked it. For the longest time, the 4 at the bottom, I left as a default. And I just left them whatever it was. It was like phone, message, email, and then Safari. It wasn't until I saw Sam from Happily a Housewife mention that she changed those out to the ones that she uses the most. And so I ended up putting the camera down there. At first I actually put camera and photos and then took away Safari, and then I realized how much I use Safari. So I put it back and then just had the camera. Otherwise it's the default. So it's camera, messages, phone, and no, not phone. I don't call people that often. It's camera, messages, email, Safari. All right, let's talk about apps. I keep all of my apps in a box. I cannot handle when they are out on the screen. I especially can't handle the people that have it like in boxes and out on the screen. Like that is just too inconsistent for me. I gotta have one or the other. And for me, I like them all in a box. It just makes way more sense in my brain. I have seen people where they do it by color in the box. It's something Emily Lay actually talks about a lot. And I get that. From your brain, you're thinking about the color of the app. But to be honest, my brain doesn't always do that. It doesn't always go to the color. And I like having them by category so that if I don't know what it looks like or what color it is, it's a lot easier for me to find. So I like having them by category. So I have 8 categories. And then within the box, I will arrange them in more of like a eye-appealing color combination, which you'll see when we get there. I have trimmed down my apps a lot. And there's 2 reasons, 2 things that led me to trimming down my apps. The first one happened back in May of last year when my phone decided to basically die. And I went to the Apple store to try and get him to save it. And he was like, nah, you're gonna have to reboot to factory settings. You've backed it up, right? Nope. I hadn't backed my phone up in months. So I'd lost a lot of stuff. That sort of sucked. What I decided to do to turn it on the positive, he told me even if I don't restore a backup, my contacts are still saved. And I can't remember if there was something else that was still saved. That was like part of either my Apple ID or something like that wasn't gonna disappear. And I was like, so really, if I don't restore from backup, I'm gonna lose like media, right? So my photos and videos, and then the apps that I've downloaded. And he was like, yeah, basically. And I was like, let's start from scratch. So what I did was I started from scratch. And I instead of restoring all the apps that I had ever downloaded on my phone, or even that day downloading a bunch of apps, I only downloaded apps as I needed them. And it helped me clear out a lot of apps that I probably wasn't using because I didn't even think about it. And yes, it maybe add a couple of extra minutes, those handful of times when I was like, oh, I need this app. And then I would download that app. And it's fine. It takes a couple of minutes. So if you have all of your photos and videos backed up to the cloud and those are safe and sound, and you really want to start over on the apps instead of going through them one by one, I didn't hate just wiping my phone clean and only downloading as I needed them. That actually worked out really well. The other thing that works out, there's 3 ways. There's actually 3 ways I keep my apps down. Actually, there's 4. So the second one is that when there is a very specific app. I delete it as soon as I'm done using it. And that pertains to stuff like travel. So like the Disney My Experience app, an amazing app. And if you're going to Disney and you don't have that app, like crazy. No, that is the one situation where I will leave it outside the folder. If I am traveling somewhere and there is something I'm going to access every single day for a short amount of time, I will leave it outside the folder so that I can access it quicker. And then as soon as that trip's over, I delete it and it's gone. Similar to that, is there are certain apps that I do use every so often. Like let's say once a month. I don't keep those on my phone because they just take up space and add clutter to my phone. I download them when I need them, if I need them. Most of those you can do in Safari. Like OpenTable, I used to have that app on my phone. And then for a while when I would need it, I would like download the OpenTable app, log in, do the thing, and then once I was done making the reservation, I would delete it. It's kind of silly when you can go to Safari. OpenTable, reservation, done. It's not that much easier on the app for something like that. So just another thought of how to keep your apps down. And then the last one is to film a video like this. As I was prepping for the video and I was actually, and while I was making notes, because I knew I wasn't gonna have my phone in front of me to talk about the apps that I use, I was like, oh, I don't need that. And I deleted that. So this is probably the lowest number of apps I've ever had on my phone. But I ever since I prepped for this video, there's nothing I've missed. So, and then the other thing was, I have my 8 categories, right? And I used to think that I needed to have at least 9 in all of them because then it all looked filled and the blank space, it didn't look consistent. That's ridiculous, Laken. The blank space is fine. So some of them only have a couple of apps in that category and that's fine. It's okay. You don't need to have all 9. In fact, I think most of them don't have 9 and the only one has a second page. So let's go through the categories. So the first one I have is utilities, which I think Apple, a lot of these are ones that Apple kind of forces you to have and won't let me delete. But the ones I go in there for, like my work email, the notes app, the clock app, like those kinds of things, I'll go into utilities for. I just have this one page and some of them I can't actually delete. All right, the next category is navigation. And this one actually didn't need to be its own. It used to not be its own. It used to be bundled in with another one. But when I deleted the category of games, which I will talk to when I get to the one game I have on my phone, I deleted the category of games. It looked unbalanced to me to not have 8 categories, so I created this navigation category. All it has is Google Maps, which is like my go-to because it has walking or driving or public transportation. I can see which one really is the fastest option. City Mapper, which is my go-to public transportation app. Uber and Via, which are like the ride apps that I use. Via is like a ride share app here in New York where if someone's going the same way as you, and it's usually a $5 ride anywhere within Manhattan. So I love Via. I don't use Uber a lot. I try to just use yellow cabs here in the city. And for the most part, if you're riding by yourself, a yellow cab is going to be cheaper, but I do Uber Pool a lot because it just works in the city, and so I do use Uber. Okay, the next one is social, and this one has the most apps. So we've got our typical ones. We've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Messenger, YouTube Studio. The other one I have in this first section is Time Hop, which I love. If you have not downloaded Time Hop, I highly recommend. And that is the one time I miss the photos being on my phone. Like not restoring from backup is I don't have Time Hop. Like I have a link to photos, but nothing is there because the only photos I have are through May of last year, but that's okay. So you can link it to any of your social media and it will show you all the things that you posted that day, however many years ago. Now I know Facebook does this too, but it's just Facebook. And so I can also see Instagram from this day, from however many days ago, which I love. That like lets me look back on old planner spreads. I have Twitter linked up to it. I don't really use Twitter now. I'm trying to be better about Twitter, but it has a lot of old tweets back when Twitter was like really popular. I feel like we're this weird in-between generation. Like our parents definitely don't Twitter, like, or really Instagram for that matter. Like they are Facebook. They're on Facebook. But then my sister's generation, they don't Facebook and they only Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. And like, I feel like my generation is sort of this in-between where we still use and like Facebook, but we also dabble in Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter. So anyways, working on Twitter, but I like Time Hop. I like being able to see what I posted like way back when. I have Hashtags, which is an app that I use to generate hashtags and think of other things to tag that you wouldn't think of on Instagram. I love that app. Ivy, which is a social community that I'm part of. They have a bunch of chapters across the city. If you're interested, I will link it below for more information. Rent the Runway. I've talked about Rent the Runway on my channel before. I talked about it in a favorites video. I do Rent the Runway Unlimited. I love Rent the Runway Unlimited. So I have the app on my phone. So I have the app on my phone. However, I will say I prefer to scroll through the Rent the Runway clothes and like pick things for my next shipment on the computer. It's just more fun that way. But if I get a notification that like they've received my return and I'm out and about and I know I'm not going to be at a computer for a while, I will order it on my phone so that it gets going with the processing. Parcel track, that's what I use to track things that were shipped and when are they going to get delivered, etc., etc. Cut story. Actually, I can delete this now. I talked about this in a favorites video, except for the fact that now Instagram added that like continuous feature that Snapchat has, so I don't really need that app anymore. Repost, that is because Instagram has not built this feature in for themselves, but this app allows you to take someone's post and repost it, and then it puts their Instagram name in the corner. Trello, this is a project management app. I'm trying to use it a little bit more to like plan out my videos and that sort of process. I like it when I'm messing with it on the computer. I don't love it on my phone, but I'm trying. That's why I have it. Phone, FaceTime, I have them so hidden back here because I just don't use them that often. If I use it, it's because someone's calling me, and so I'll answer it, but like going to make the outgoing call takes a couple steps. Goodreads, this is a new app that I downloaded that a lot of you recommended when I talked about books on my Instagram. I talked about how I wanted to read more books this year, and a lot of people recommended Goodreads, so I have downloaded it. I have set up an account, but I haven't done like anything with it yet. I haven't put any of the books that I want to read or that I have read yet, so working on it. That's on my to-do list. And then on the last page of social, this is the one game that I have. So I used to have a category of games. I had pages of games, and I still like to play games on my phone, but when they are that accessible to me, it's bad. And I will just sit down and like open a game mindlessly. And so I had to delete every game from my phone. The only one I let myself keep is the crossword game because I feel like it works my brain. So I let myself keep the crossword. Otherwise, goodbye games. Okay, the next category is media. Just like it sounds, it's basically movies and TV and music. So we've got our classic TV shows, Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, Pandora, which is my go-to music app. I used to have Spotify. I used to pay for Spotify Premium, but it's just not as big of a priority for me anymore. I paid for Spotify Premium mostly to download music to my phone so that I could listen to it on the subway, but now I pay YouTube Premium and download YouTube videos for the subway, so I don't Spotify Premium anymore. TV show tracker. This is an app that I use to track TV shows and when new episodes are coming and which ones I've watched. I actually recently cleaned out a lot of TV shows from this because I'm trying to watch less TV this year, but I still really like this app. It lets me know when shows are coming back and how many episodes I'm behind on. It just, because sometimes when you have like multiple people on like Hulu and I guess that's really the only place that new TV shows come, but you sometimes get confused at which episode you watch, so it's just easier. And then Overcast. This is new for me too. I am just now getting into podcasts. I'm trying. I know that they're valuable. I know that they're beneficial, but for me, I just always watch YouTube or listen to music, and I never really figured out when podcasts would work in my life, but I'm starting to figure out those tasks that I do that my brain can handle more than just music. Like I'm doing something so mindless that it can handle more than just music, but I need to be doing something, so I can't be watching a YouTube video. So I'm working on it. If you have any podcasts that you recommend, please let me know below. These are the ones that I have downloaded right now, or not downloaded, but I've subscribed to right now. I really haven't listened to all that many episodes of them, to be honest with you. I'm just trying. I'm a newbie. I'm a podcast newbie. Okay, so moving on to the next row. The next category is resources, which is sort of a silly word. It kind of is similar to utilities, but these are utilities, but ones that I actually like go to and use. And so it's sort of a random assortment of things. We've got food. So you have Yelp, which I guess can be things not food, but I feel like I mostly use Yelp for food. Seamless, which is the food ordering app that I use here in New York. The Weather Channel, because I go to that pretty much every day. And then all of my money related apps. So we've got Chase, Venmo, PayPal, Credit Karma, and Splitwise. You've probably heard of most of those. The one I'm gonna rave about right now is Splitwise. So I discovered this app through a friend who, I don't know how he discovered it, but it is my friend that I went on a trip to Disney with a couple of years ago, and he was like, oh, we have to download this app. So basically what it is, it allows you to split things up with different people, and then you can actually attach Venmo and just send it via Venmo, the amount from Splitwise. Now, you can use this for like going out to dinner with your friends and splitting out one bill. That's not really the point because, I mean, you can do it through Venmo, just like use a calculator, go to Venmo. It is really helpful when you're going to have things over multiple days. So if you're going on a trip with somebody and you're going to be sharing the expenses over the course of the trip, but you want to try and be even about how much is spending, or if you want to be really exact because it's like a friend and not somebody that you're sharing finances with, like a significant other. So what we did was we set up, here's our Disney trip, and it was just the two of us. And then when somebody paid for something, you put in the amount and you can either split it by percent or by an actual dollar amount. So if one of us had something that was a lot more than the other, we would put the actual dollar amount. If it was pretty close, we would just 50-50 it. And then we would, when it was time for someone to pay, we would check the app. And then whoever would pay is just whoever was up. So say like we had dinner and we got the bill, we checked the app, and at that time I owed him money, then I would pay. And then usually it would bump me up a little bit and then he would owe me. And we just kept doing this back and forth throughout the entire trip. And it just made it easier. We never split checks for anybody at bars or restaurants. And at the end, he owed me like $2. Like it was so close because we were so good about whoever was up, that person would pay. And it was awesome. So I can't recommend that app enough. If you are going on trips with other people, we used it for Go Wild. And I had two different groups. So I had my New York friends. We had our own Splitwise because we did things at the airport and cabs and things like that. And then I had my roommates. And it's so helpful. Okay, the next category I really love, which is health. Again, pretty self-explanatory. So we've got the watch apps. So we've got Apple Watch and Activity. We have Headspace, which is a meditation app. You might have heard of it. I feel like you've probably heard of it. I see it everywhere on the ads. I try to get into it. I'm not super good about it, but I haven't deleted the app because I want to try to be better about it. It's kind of like the podcast thing. Sleep Cycle. I love this app. In fact, I paid for premium years ago because I love this app. What it is it's sometimes hard to do when you have another person in the bed, so it doesn't work as well now that there's another person in my bed. But you put it next to you. It measures how awake or how asleep you are, and it wakes you up within a range, but like there's a hard stop. Like I have to be up by this time. But if you're slightly more awake 20 minutes before that time, they'll wake you up at that time, and then you are less groggy when you wake up. It's awesome. If you always feel like you're groggy when you wake up, I recommend that you try the Sleep Cycle app. I love it. I still use it like when I'm alone or when I travel, but I can't use it every night. But I really love the habit of having my phone not in the bedroom, so that's kind of the double-edged sword of that one. Sweatcoin, I talked about that in a favorites video. I'll link it below if you're interested. You basically get sweat coins, which is like a artificial money sort of currency for taking steps. And then I think in the video I called it step coin, but it's sweat coin. And then you can redeem it for things like gift cards or whatever. Happy Scale. This is an app that I like and I don't like. So the concept is that you weigh yourself every day, and it gives you the trajectory, but like an average, because it knows that your weight fluctuates. And so it averages it out, and it tells you what your like average weight is. I forget what they call it, but it's not average weight. It's something else based on the history that you've put into the app. And I want to use it more, but actually my scale's broken and I haven't decided what to do about that yet. So we're just going to leave it for now. ClassPass, which I've talked about before on this channel. I love ClassPass. And then MyFitnessPal, which is what I use to track food. All right, the next category is photography. So this is anything related to not taking photos, cameras in the bottom. The Photos app, anything I use to edit photos, blur out photos, adjust them, or like combine them together. So these are all the apps that I use for those kinds of things. If you have any specific questions, let me know. To be honest, I didn't put them in my notes like the actual apps. I'm not sure why, so here they are. Okay, and then the last one is sports. Yes, I have a sports category. It's a big part of me. I love sports. I love football, pro and college, and I love basketball. And so I have my ESPN app that I can go check the scores of the games. I have Watch ESPN and Fox Sports Go to actually watch sports on my phone. And then I have both the ESPN Fantasy and the Yahoo Fantasy because I have leagues in both those fantasies. So I can check and update my fantasy leagues. All right, that is it. Those are the apps that I have on my phone and how I sort of have them set up. I hope this brought some value to you. I hope there's an app that you're like, oh, I need that app, or maybe the organization system would work for you. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much to the person who recommended this. I tried to find the comment and I don't know where it is. I remember seeing it and then I wrote it down like in my notebook as an idea, but I cannot find the comment. So thank you so much. If you ever have any videos that you're like, I want to see this, even if it's not totally planner related, I do stick to planner stuff on this channel, but really my goal is inspiring and encouraging you to achieve your goals through all kinds of organization. Some of that is planning and time organization, and some of that is your phone and how your phone is organized. That is going to help you achieve your goals, because that is a direct representation of your goals, is what's on your phone. If you are new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Happy planning. And then if you always feel like you're groggy,